In the early morning hours of Thursday, January 7th, 2016, I had a vision. In my vision, I walked into my bedroom and looked up at the ceiling. There was a large crack which ran north and south like this. So you can see that in this picture, it shows that the crack is on the edge of the ceiling, on the edge. But in my vision, it was right in the middle of my room on the ceiling. And we have a ceiling fan in the bedroom, but I didn't see that. I just saw this crack. I only saw part of the crack. I didn't see it all the way running the length of the ceiling. Now, to describe it, it is as bad as this crack. It was open, but it wasn't huge, like, you know, the ceiling was splitting. It was just open, and a little bit of the plaster was hanging down. Now, I looked again in my vision, and I saw a second crack in the ceiling, and this was to the left of what I was looking at, or you might say it was to the west of the initial crack. It did run the entire length of the ceiling, and it looked like this. Okay, I know that this is the Nile River, so just ignore that and look at it as if it was a cracked ceiling. The crack was fairly straight. It was running north and south, but on the southern end it did split into several areas. And in my vision I thought, okay, my husband's going to have to fix the ceiling if we're going to sell the house. End of the vision. So we're not selling the house. I'm not quite sure why I had that thought, other than I wasn't panicked at all or worried or concerned. My interpretation, I thought about this vision, and I remembered not to try to interpret it all by myself. For all I knew, God was showing me that the veil was opening. You know, cracks in the ceiling, cracks in the sky, a veil was opening, more than just an earthquake, which was in the ground anyway. So I prayed about this, and I asked God to show me the first thing that I saw would explain this to me. And I assumed that when I got up to read my Bible today that I would read something, but you should never assume that. That's not how God works. I started out this morning by reading my emails, and right away I read one about an eventual earthquake on the west coast starting in California. The second thing I read had God saying that the veil would open soon, so I believe my vision was actually showing both. First I saw the large crack. Now, the crack that I saw seems to point to the New Madrid area, which lies in the middle of the United States. And I'll show you that in this picture. I know that some of you aren't familiar with the United States. This is pretty much in the middle, and what it's showing you is this fault, which covers several states. You can't really see it here, but it runs north and south. Okay? So that's what I saw. And the next picture actually gives you a better idea of where this fault runs. Now, this was the picture, what would happen within a 6.8 earthquake, and I forget when it happened, but that's what it affected. Now, I live, if you look at the picture and you see Indiana, I live in the letters IND, that I live somewhere in there, and it doesn't really matter because that part was outside of the 6.8, but anything greater, and you can believe I'm going to feel it shake the house, or it could damage or obliterate it altogether. Actually, I don't know what's actually going to happen when the earthquake goes off, and I don't know if it extends totally north and south in the United States. It is possible that this vision is more personal, and the Lord is showing me what will happen to my own home. The crack that I saw was such that I would not feel safe sleeping underneath it. Yet the Lord has told us we are protected, so I know we will be protected. Do I believe the New Madrid earthquake goes before the California earthquake? Not really. Just because I saw it first doesn't mean it will go first. We know that the California earthquake is set to go at any time, and frankly, I believe that's what I saw that appeared like cracks in the Nile River and tributaries in the second vision. If you interpret it this one way, you could say that I saw a crack to the far west of my bedroom, one that did real damage, especially to the southern area. That crack could represent the west coast as a whole, with the southern area being California. Now, this next picture I've seen floating around the internet at times, and it's possible that this is what the United States is going to look like soon. Sorry about that. Remember, I did not see this picture. I did not see any maps. I just saw cracks in my ceiling. But I feel the interpretation of earthquakes is correct, and that is what God was showing me. And I believe he was kind of showing me a pattern. This picture also reminds me of my flood dream, and I'm going to put a link to that. That's where I asked the Lord before going to bed one night what I would actually see in my area before the transformation. In my dream, I was walking in about 3 feet of water. Now, I don't know if the tsunamis that are coming come after the earthquakes or not, but as I reread that dream, I found that my friend in the dream said something about California. So I'll put the link there that you can read if you want, but this particular picture is from some government group that feels at some point if we had these tsunamis hit and earthquakes, this is what would happen. And you can see it splits the United States, goes right up through where I live and through where that new Madrid fault is, not to mention the West Coast, is pretty much gone. I'm also just now reminded of, thank you Holy Spirit, of the Sarah Menet visions where she has seen, I believe she's seen Salt Lake City as being part of the new West Coast. I'm not sure about that. You'd want to look at that. But Sarah Menet had some great visions about this as well. One thing that I do know is that our transformation and rapture of the Lord is not far off at all. I'm very excited about this. I know it's soon. There's really too much going on for it not to be soon. So hang in there.